Whoa, whoa, sorry, Blondie, I don't do backstory. However, I am becoming very interested in yours.
Welcome to MsMojo, and today we're taking a closer look at 5 animated Disney films that we feel are worthy of a second chance in live-action form. It could be that they never got a fair shake with audiences, or because the filmmakers weren't able to bring their true vision to life. Either way, these are the movies that still have something to prove and could fulfill their destiny outside of animation. We'll be excluding any live-action remakes currently in development. After all, if they're already on their way, it's safe to say their potential has already been recognized.
Would you like to see more?
How about it, Charlie? We'd love to.
Good.
The Princess and the Frog. For what it is, The Princess and the Frog continues to hold the uniquest of places in Disney history.
I remember Daddy told me fairy tales can come true. You gotta make them happen. It all depends on you.
Not only was it the studio's last traditionally animated film, but it also featured its first black princess in Tiana. Add to that its lovable side characters, terrific music by the great Randy Newman, and an all-time great villain in Dr. Facilier, and this musical fantasy is still remembered fondly.
I can change it around some too. I look deep into your heart and soul. You do have a soul, don't you, Lawrence? Make your wildest dreams come true.
Its positive reputation has slowly started to pay off in the form of a planned follow-up on Disney+, which got cancelled, as well as the opening of Tiana's Bayou Adventure at the Disney parks. All of this to say that The Princess and the Frog is starting to earn its due, and rightfully so. And yet there are things left to explore with this world, and further exploration could be exactly what it needs to thrive even more. Set in 1920s New Orleans, The Princess and the Frog makes excellent use of its locations with its vibrant color palette both in the city and the surrounding bayou. Not to mention, its jazz-heavy soundtrack does right by the city that helped popularize such game-changing music.
When you hear that music playing, hear what I'm saying, it make you feel alright. Grab somebody, come on down.
This is a universe we'd want to visit on any given day. That being said, live action would undoubtedly present an opportunity to address why that comfortability may be a drawback.
I'm gonna work a double shift tonight. Here you hotcakes. You know, so
you can save for your restaurant. I know. Girl, all you ever do is work.
Specifically, many of the real-life socio-cultural issues of the movie's period setting frequently go ignored in the animated product. A reframing of Tiana's story that properly addresses her class and racial status in the Jim Crow South would make for a more authentic viewing experience.
You know how long it took me to save that money?
Exactly. Which is why a little woman of your background would have had her hands full trying to run a big business like that. You know, you're better off where you're at.
Even though she spends most of the movie as a frog, Tiana remains an empowering figure for younger audiences due to her inherent self-worth and determination to make a better life for herself. And once she's able to achieve her goals by finding the courage to act on them, it's nothing short of celebratory.
Start in the daytime, go on through the night. And when you hear that music playing, hear what I'm saying, make you feel alright.
While she wouldn't have to lose anything that makes her a great character, The Princess and the Frog would surely benefit from a deeper understanding of the greater forces standing in Tiana's way. We understand that certain lines have to be drawn with family-friendly entertainment, but if any Disney movie could benefit from portraying the world as it is rather than how we'd like it to be, it's this one.
The way you light up when you talk about your dream. A dream that it is so beautiful. I promise I will do whatever it takes to make it come true.
The Sword and the Stone. For being arguably the most recognizable figures in all of fiction, King Arthur has been a particularly challenging character to adapt for the big screen.
I'm in an awful pickle. I'm king.
Ooh, he pulled a sword from the stone. Ha ha! Of course. King Arthur and his Knights of the Round Table.
Not even Disney has been exempt from this spotty track record. The Sword in the Stone is by no means a bad movie, and even deserves credit for attempting to explore a rarely discussed aspect of the legend. But this glimpse into Arthur's childhood and his education under the wizard Merlin is nevertheless a flawed one. Its biggest issue is that it's too loosely plotted for its own good, with Merlin's meandering lessons comprising so much of the story that Arthur becomes a bystander in his own legend.
There's no sensible explanation for this discommemoration. It's most hodgepodgical, most illogical, most confusing, most bamboozling, most bemuddling, most befuddling.
The movie tries to compensate for its lack of structure with humor, which may have been good enough for Monty Python and the Holy Grail, but less so here. While the characters are memorable, especially the wicked Mad Madam Mim, it still lacks much of what makes the Arthurian myth so endearing.
It comes easy to me, because I'm the magnificent, marvelous Mad Madam Mim!
In order to go off without a hitch, a live-action Sword in the Stone has to properly invest in Arthur as a character, while also giving him reason to believe that he is worthy of power. Merlin's lessons about the natural laws of the world wouldn't have to change much, nor would any of Archimedes' color commentary.
Before you're through, he'll be so mixed up, he'll be wearing his shoes on his head. Man has always learned from the past. After all, you can't learn history in reverse. It's confusing enough, for heaven's sakes.
But a worthy king should be able to demonstrate as much through his actions. So on top of his education, a proper examination of Arthur's worthiness would be helped by a more developed relationship between him and his brutish foster brother Kay. It's a potentially interesting dynamic that could play dividends through Arthur's victory over Kay by the film's ending.
Now, wait a minute. Anyone can pull it once it's been pulled. You go to it, Kay. Give it all you got. Put your feet at it.
Rather than simply prove to Kay that he can pull Excalibur from the stone, ritual combat could make for a more convincing demonstration. Not to mention, if there was any chance for Arthur to utilize Merlin's lessons about thinking realistically and trusting his instincts, it'd be here.
You merely look like a fish. That doesn't mean that you can swim like one. You don't have the instinct. So you'll have to use your brain for a change.
And for what it's worth, the thematic parallels between Merlin's standoff against Madame Mim and Arthur's duel with Kay would be certifiably enriching. His triumph would thus be both a physical and moral one, and undoubtedly the ending the movie deserves.
You'll become a great legend. They'll be writing books about you for centuries to come. Why, they might even make a motion picture about you.
Meet the Robinsons. Something about science fiction and Disney has never truly meshed the way we'd like it to.
From failing, you learn. From success, not so much.
If I gave up every time I failed, I never would have made the meatball cannon.
I never would have made my fireproof pants. Still working out the kinks.
It's quite a shame because the studio's few ventures into the world of tomorrow have all had the potential to reach the classic status of their fantasy and musical works. Chief among these sci-fi hopefuls is Meet the Robinsons, which actually bears quite a resemblance to the Disney films of yesteryear, despite its time travel setup and futuristic setting.
And you're not from the future! You're crazy!
Ho ho! I am not crazy!
Oh yeah, Captain Time Travel?
Prove it!
Yeah, that's what I thought.
After all, Todayland remains perfectly in line with zany locales like Wonderland and Neverland. Each is visited by eager outsiders looking for a place to belong, and inhabited by eccentrics who are happy to show them the way.
So if I go back now, then this'll be my future.
Well, that depends on you. Nothing is set in stone. You gotta make the right choices and keep moving forward.
Disney's attempts at bringing these other strange worlds to life may have left something to be desired, but we'd be thrilled to see them give Meet the Robinsons' version of the future a chance. And why shouldn't they? Protagonist Lewis is one of Disney's most relatable, the titular family is one of their most underrated supporting casts, and its themes of self-worth and found family make it certifiably heartwarming.
You're a real special kid. But, you don't look like a Lewis. You look more like a...
Cornelius. I get that a lot.
Should Disney be bold enough to give Meet the Robinsons the green light for a second time, recapturing its utopian essence may not be as hard as it sounds.
I mean, there's so many things in the world that can be improved. Just think of it. Moving sidewalks, flying cars. The possibilities are endless.
Flying cars. Yeah, that's a good one.
All it takes is some imagination and a little science.
If it were up to us, we'd be getting the visionary Brad Bird on the phone to pick up where Tomorrowland left off. In many ways, Bird's 2015 adventure and Meet the Robinsons are one and the same. However, whereas the former's epic scope is often hampered by its confusing plot and overabundance of ideas, the latter is the more simplified and character-driven of the two.
Okay, everybody, it's been a long, hard day filled with emotional turmoil and dinosaur fights, so why don't you all hit the hay and Lewis and me'll get going?
As such, Disney would be as crazy as a band of singing frogs not to find the best of both worlds by joining Tomorrowland's ambition with the heart of Meet the Robinsons. Despite any flaws they may have, both are stunningly original movies in their own right, so any chance to unite them into one all-out sci-fi extravaganza is one worth taking. Here's hoping their heads aren't too big and their arms aren't too little to make this future a reality.
What's going on? Why aren't you seizing the boy?
Treasure Planet. If space is the final frontier, then a live-action Treasure Planet could go where no Disney project has gone before.
At the farthest reaches of the galaxy, stowed with riches beyond imagination, the loot of 1,000 worlds.
Treasure Planet.
With the original turning Robert Louis Stevenson's classic novel Inside Out, its diversion from the established Disney formula makes its mere existence something of a miracle. No musical numbers, no fairy tales, just a fun throwback adventure with an otherworldly twist.
Brace yourself, Doctor.
Treasure Planet is both family-friendly and mature, giving the stories of Jim Hawkins and John Silver serious stakes, yet packing them with loads of heart. You'd think there's not much a live-action update could do to improve upon such an achievement, and yet Treasure Planet remains a tantalizing prospect because of everything it excels at.
Oh my goodness, that was the most...
Oh, tish-tosh. Actually, Doctor, your astronomical advice was most helpful.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
If nothing else, another journey to the stars would provide us with some closure after the original film unjustly bombed at the box office. Moreover, its blend of practicality and forward-thinking CGI would be something live action would do well to honor.
Look at you, glowing like a solar fire. You're something special, Jim. You're going to rattle the stars, you are.
The Walt Disney Company finds itself uniquely situated to give Treasure Planet new life.
So that's how Flint did it. He used his portal to roam the universe.
For one thing, there's the company's purchase of Lucasfilm and its expansion of the Star Wars franchise with various films, Disney Plus series, and theme park attractions. For another, Pirates of the Caribbean has provided the Mouse House with one of its most successful franchises of the century so far. Although the latter has been at a creative standstill for nearly a decade, perhaps the swashbuckling subgenre could find a new lease on life with a healthy dose of space opera thrown into the mix.
Oh, pirates! Don't get me started on pirates!
Thanks to its emphasis on relationships, especially when it comes to the complex dynamic between Jim and Silver, Treasure Planet could be the perfect outlet for such a revival.
You got the makings of greatness in you, but you gotta take the helm and chart your own course. Stick to it, no matter the squalls. And when the time comes, you get the chance to really test the cut of your sails.
Balancing its thrilling story of looting aliens with human themes, its imaginative view of galaxies far, far away could only be enhanced by the very best that modern filmmaking has to offer. We'd be oh so curious to see if directors Ron Clements and John Musker would be willing to take the reins once more.
I met this old cyborg, and he taught me that I could chart my own course. That's what I'm gonna do.
If not, then we wouldn't mind if Pixar giant Andrew Stanton was keen on giving live action another chance. His previous foray, John Carter, may not have lived up to expectations, but much like space itself, the possibilities with this one are endless.
And how in blue blazes are we supposed to get there?
Just open the right door.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Atlantis: The Lost Empire. With its blend of steampunk and globe-trotting adventure, Atlantis: The Lost Empire's ambition and diverse influences make it well overdue for live-action excellence.
Now some of you may ask, why Atlantis? It's just a myth, isn't it? Pure fantasy. Well, that is where you'd be wrong.
In fact, the foundation for this story's retro-futuristic aesthetic was actually built decades earlier. Disney's groundbreaking adaptation of Jules Verne's 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea featured a Nautilus that was luxuriously designed, yet equipped for warfare nonetheless. The quirky treasure-hunting team at the heart of Atlantis are deeply indebted to Verne as well, with the adorable Milo Thatch also recalling shades of Indiana Jones for good measure.
Yes. How is it you found your way to this place?
Well, I'll tell you, it wasn't easy. If it weren't for this book, we never would have made it.
Between the former's audacious visual design and the latter's timeless appeal, both properties can easily continue to serve as inspiration for an Atlantis update. Not to mention, the overwhelming success of James Cameron's Avatar franchise has proven that audiences still long for visually resplendent journeys to other worlds, meaning that the cult following Atlantis has gradually developed over time could blossom into true adoration if done right.
Well, see, there's your problem right there. That's an easy thing to miss. You deserve credit for even getting this far.
The deciding factor will likely be how balanced the story is.
It's amazing. A complete history of Atlantis. It's just like Plato described it. He was off on a few details.
One of the main issues holding back the original Atlantis is its brisk pace. Like Treasure Planet, its panoramic blend of 2D and 3D animation remains a sight to behold. However, its commendable exploration of imperialism and capitalism often comes at the expense of Milo's journey and the fascinating people he meets along the way. This is a problem that can be remedied by providing equal focus to both the crew's underwater escapades and the Atlantean culture.
I prefer the term adventure capitalist. Besides, you're the one who got us here. You led us right to the treasure chest.
You don't know what you're tampering with, Rourke.
What's to know? It's big, it's shiny, it's gonna make us all rich.
Between Milo, Kida, Audrey, Sweet, and Vinny, among many more, the Atlantis cast is diverse and has loads of personality. These characters are so top-notch that there are too many fan castings on our minds to list here, and the intrigue of who'd ultimately earn these parts would be a journey in and of itself. To put it another way, 90 minutes simply isn't enough time to develop this roster and their individual goals.
Looks like somebody's working overtime. Come on, girl, time's up.
Live action typically makes longer runtimes a more acceptable standard, and ample time would be necessary to make Atlantis a culture we'd crave to explore, and a destination well worth the journey. Here's hoping that, if a live-action Atlantis is ever to happen, time remains a critical component in building this adventure carefully and respectfully enough to make us return again and again.
If you gave back every stolen artifact from a museum, you'd be left with an empty building. We're just providing a necessary service to the archaeological community.
Is there a particular Disney movie you think the studio should remake in live action? Is there one you think should be left to thrive in animation? Be sure to let us know down in the comments.
Maybe I just gotta wish harder. Huh? Please, 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 please.